sticking to what got you here with CMC.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be a rough one. I mean, the Garoppolo Super Bowl, I never thought we would win that anyway. Garoppolo was terrible.
Mhm.
You know, Purdy had a good game. It's manageable.
Mhm.
You're not gonna get these things. They're just not gonna come about.
What's up, world? This is We Need a Fifth. This your man Mo. Got my man Hill in the building.
49.
Got my man P on the line. What's going on, man?
Good, what's good? Live in the studio.
Yeah, man. We're moving up in the world, guys. In the new studio. Thanks to the Rubin family for hooking us up, lacing us up. NFL Super Bowl, fellas. That's a bad man. Mama, there goes that man.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, fellas, Patrick Mahomes, has he cemented his legacy as the Michael Jordan of the NFL, as my man Hill said? I mean, are we there now? And one of the things I know I was talking to Hill about off the air, just we compare Patrick Mahomes to Michael Jordan, and if we do a one-for-one comparison, Michael Jordan didn't start learning how to win championships until his seventh to eighth year. Patrick Mahomes is just entering his seventh and eighth year. That's a scary thought to me. He's just starting to get into his bag now. He's starting to learn, oh, yeah, this is how we do it.
With a 3-chip head start, basically.
Pete, now you're hearing it. Now you're smelling what I'm smelling. Fellas, I know you guys saw that the Super Bowl had the live event, held it down for that. What were your thoughts? I want to come to the 49er fans here. You know?
Well, I guess we'll get to Mahomes later. How can't we not skip over it right now? I want to put him as an all-time great already. I'm willing to jump the gun. I'm gonna start with the 49ers. I mean, the consistent defensive threat with a emerging quarterback coming on up until like week 10.
Okay.
You know, it was shaky after, but they stamped it that they were the team to beat all season. And then got shakier within the last 6 to 7 weeks on their defense. But still, I thought we're still maybe top 3 teams that I thought could win the Super Bowl.
Let's talk about the Super Bowl, bro.
No, I'm leading. I'm saying it's a culmination of leading up to it, though. So that defense going in reminded me of what it was up until week 10, that first half.
Okay.
And they were marching down. They were, their stamp on that first half was that should have been a 21-3 type game.
Definitely.
And it felt like the game was won at the half. But being up 7-3, was that it? Or was it 10-3? 10-3. You see, I'm trying to block it out already. Being up 10-3, you just knew it just wasn't enough. And I got fool's goal in the beginning of that third quarter. And it's so many things you could put your finger on. I mean, hypothetical with the Dre Greenlaw, does Kelsey be held in place for the whole entire game? Who knows?
Right.
You know what I mean? Christian McCaffrey should have got more touches. Can Shanahan coach a big game? I mean, these are still questions that need to be answered, which are usually answered in the Super Bowl. And I still have those questions about my team. So what happened? To me, I think we imploded that second half. And there were no adjustments made towards it. And then you're hearing scary things that, the coach might have not been aware of the overtime rules if it got there. And Missouri, the Chiefs, they had, reports were that they knew about the overtime rules from head to toe. They would talk about it.
Depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So I don't know, it was rough, I'm still getting over it. But it doesn't seem well for Shanahan in these big games.
And I think the game illustrated the slim margins for error for championship teams. I think the difference between San Francisco and Kansas City was just little things. Hey, the your star running back hasn't fumbled the ball all season, fumbles the ball. Your special teams that's been pretty solid all season has a couple of gaps where the ball hits a player running in the opposite direction and you lose possession of the ball. To your kicker, not kicking the ball correctly and kicking it too low so that it ended up being blocked. He took a point off the board. I think those are the slim margins. Like most people go with the saying, hey, the game is a margin of inches. And I think we learned that this Super Bowl with two of the best teams in the league. But unfortunately for San Francisco, it just too many of those instances where they didn't execute properly. You know, and I think that's it. You know, it's just one break here or there. If your kicker makes that extra point, I think we are actually having a different conversation that San Francisco might have won that game.
No, I think you're still gonna lose that game with that guy. I just think I think greatness is just being undersold. I think we're giving him a lot of credit, but I don't think we're giving him enough credit for who he is. He never looks shaky. At no time, he knows where he is at all points of the game. I mean, Andy Reid puts him in great positions, but he's really that good.
And I completely agree with you, but you bring up a good point about the linebacker. Because before he got injured, Kelsey was a no-show. So I believe that was huge. And another question we have is, that's what we doing? We gonna blame the defensive coordinator that they let go?
Yeah, I mean,
That's what we doing?
Rome wants blood.
Somebody
Shanahan's untouchable. Lynch is untouchable. If I was Wilkes, I probably would have walked off the field that day.
I mean, for those who know, that's the wedding scene in New Jack City, right? Shanahan's Nito Brown and the defense coordinator's little girl. That's a shield, right? He's using the defensive coordinator as a shield, basically. You know what I mean? Y'all gonna take shots. You know what I mean? And he puts a defensive coordinator right in front of him. Like I don't feel like it was the defense fault. I mean, I know it was Patrick Mahomes and everything. You're going against Patrick Mahomes,
But one of the things that you can say, I know when you look at the highlights from the Super Bowl, especially when you look at the second half and start looking at what Kansas City was starting to do, they were taking advantage of Bosa being aggressive and inviting him to do that. And there were a couple of plays up into the game-winning play in overtime, where they were taking advantage of Bosa, being aggressive to the quarterback. At what point do you switch up your strategy and saying, all right, either in talking to Bosa and saying, hey, listen, this is what they're doing? Because second, that was the main difference, is that, hey, Kansas City found out, oh, we can take advantage of this. Right. If Bosa's rushing in, we're going to throw the screen to that side. We're going to motion Travis to that side and get him coming across toward Bosa's side. So Patrick was able to take advantage of certain aspects of that defense.
So it sounds like you're saying it's not blame to go around. Like the defensive coordinator can be held accountable for not making adjustments.
But that's the main word right there, adjustments. Like at one point, does Shanahan make an adjustment? Like you have to pick up some type of offensive scheme on certain times. Right, looking at last play when they were going for it on third down. You know they're gonna send them. You have a hot. You had a hot. Ayuk or Jennings coming across in the middle, and that play is not drawn up. Everyone sees it. And I understand Brock panics, but at the same time, you do have at least 2 seconds to see the field and make that pass. You know what I'm saying? If that's pointed out by your coach.
And let's talk about the overtime a little bit. First, let's talk about the decision to receive the ball first. Do you guys have an issue with Shanahan going with receiving the ball first?
They should have played. I did. I mean, I thought he should have kicked it off and see what they do. If you need a touchdown, you need a touchdown. So it's all gambles. Because I think this is to win the game.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I think he's thinking 3, and my team will put up a heck of a defensive stand. They weren't doing that after the third quarter. So that wasn't happening. Which tells me you didn't know the rules.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So play defense. You get 3, you go down there, you have a safety blanket of getting 3. I just thought he was lost. I thought he was lost the entire game, actually.
My thought was initially I didn't have an issue with him taking the ball first, but I thought that if you're gonna take the ball first, you have to be aggressive and commit to being aggressive. So you commit to, especially in the red zone, it's a 4 down, 4 downs. And worst case scenario, you don't score, and whatchamacallit, you're trusting your defense to try to, hold Patrick Mahomes back. I thought if you're gonna take the ball first, you have to lean into aggressive philosophy. Like once Brock Purdy, missed that, and the pressure caused that miss as far as that last play before they kicked the field goal in overtime. Why not go for it again?
We were asking for it here live.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 4 downs. I mean, you have 4 downs deep in territory, and the plan is to get close, score, make a decision. And it was just too much throw instead of sticking to what got you here with CMC.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be a rough one. I mean, the Garoppolo Super Bowl, I never thought we would win that anyway. Garoppolo was terrible.
Mhm.
Purdy had a good game. It's manageable. You're not going to get these things. They're just not going to come about. And thinking 3 points is going to beat that guy is just, it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? It's either the 7 or you're going to go down losing. And if your defense can't stop them where you had them, if you drove and you got stopped on the 3, or you got stopped at the 9 where you were on a passing play, fine. I need you guys to pin your ears back and get us the ball back. If they don't, you lost, but you went for it. There's no other game after this. I couldn't stand a 3 in real time. I don't like the play calling. Listen,
I definitely agree with you, especially in the overtime. Especially with McCaffrey, I thought that they had built up some momentum with McCaffrey initially in overtime, where he got that long burst run for I think over 20 yards and whatnot. Why not keep feeding him? And that's one of the things that I think the 49ers will regret going forward as they look back on this game.
And shout out to their defense too, though. I mean, Chris came in the second half. So I turned on, but why not scheme him? Why not block him up top and chip him? I mean, put 2 on him.
Or do what Kansas City did to Bosa. Like, hey, you scheme for him to get through, but that's where your opening is. And that's where you throw McCaffrey the screen. So, or give him the draw. But what do we think are the chances of 49ers getting back here?
The biggest, I think we retain mostly everyone. We pick up Hufanga too. He comes back. He was injured this year, so that should help to the secondary. That works. So that should help the linebacker core too. And drafting. So I think we should be back within the mix. And the main thing is the quarterback's on the cheap. So I'm not concerned at that. It's just that these things are hard to come by. These chances are coming in. So chances are, I think it really well.
I know we talked about Patrick Mahomes being the Michael Jordan of the NFL. are we making that assumption that he'll be back here next year?
Hmm.
Barring any like
Oh, yeah.
major injuries to the team or anything like that, or major losses.
Yeah, yeah, like Hill said, I think San Francisco is right in the running again. And the main reason is they can, they make some moves because they have basically an all-pro quarterback, but they're not paying him all-pro money just yet. In Kansas City, yeah. I mean, until I see otherwise, I always think Kansas City has a chance to win the championship. I will always pick them to win the championship until I see otherwise.
Now, people are starting to talk about Kansas City as a destination place, a place where players will want to go because of Patrick Mahomes, sort of like Tom Brady was with Tampa Bay. Is there any players out there that we think Kansas City should be targeting?
I don't even agree with that.
Okay.
I think it's maybe veteran players who've made their money, and now the only thing I have left to do is win a championship. Because remember, Tyreek Hill left, Kareem Hunt, like, you know what I mean, like.
But and that's the assumption that I'm making. Like, hey, players that are still got something left in the tank, but are at the point in their career where, hey, a championship may mean more to them than the next big paycheck.
I believe. I mean, I don't have a players I'm thinking about specifically, but I think I would concentrate more on the defense side of the ball, because Patrick Mahomes showed me just give me like an NFL player I can work with it. You know what I mean? Like,
Rice, like you ain't
like, you know what I mean?
Rice. Kadarius Toney stay home.
Right. And it's kind of like when Randy Moss came to New England. Like, this is just ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's almost like they didn't. Of course, they didn't win it. They lost the final game of the season. The only loss they had. But yeah, if you give Patrick Mahomes a top 5 receiver in the league, we're going to see a repeat of that Tom Brady Randy Moss combination.
Right. To that point, do you think Patrick should be aiming for stats like that or records like that? Like, hey, sort of what, and obviously you don't want the same result, but sort of what Golden State did after they won their first championship. They were kind of feeling themselves. They were riding the momentum and rode that to a regular season record win total. And do you think Kansas City should be aiming for the undefeated record and aiming for?
No, I mean, I think they of course, like any other team, they're going to try to win every game. You know, who doesn't? But I don't think it should be. It's especially in football. Well, not in really any sport. It's just championships. That's all that matters. Like,
Being healthy.
We'll talk about it later, but I think in most people's eyes, Patrick Mahomes has passed Elway, Manning, Drew Brees. They have better total numbers than him, obviously, because he hasn't finished his career, but I don't think people are waiting for the total numbers.
No.
Because he has more championships. It's over. You know what I mean? Ring the bell. Stop the fight.
All right, guys, let us know what you guys think. Do you think Patrick Mahomes and the 49ers will be back for the, I guess you would call it,
3P?
Yeah, 3P. It would definitely be a 3P for Kansas City, but as far as the two teams meet, and again, this would be officially a rivalry at that point, right? If you meet in like 3 times in the Super Bowl.
We win one, yeah.
It's the old adage. Someone has to, the other team has to win for it to be a rivalry. That's the only issue. So I guess, as a 49er fan, we hope it turns into a rivalry.
Yeah, not rivalry now. One team owns the other. It's simple.
Hey, hit us up on social media. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to hit that notification button so you know when the next video comes out. Also, you can hit us directly at weneedafifth@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to the podcast. Fellas, we got the NBA All-Star Weekend this weekend. They had the Celebrity All-Star game last night. I believe Shannon Sharp's team won that Celebrity All-Star game.
Stephen A. Smith, man.
Versus Stephen A. Smith, and Micah Parsons was named the MVP. But I kind of want to do a mid-season report on the NBA, where we are right now. First, I want to get you guys list of real contenders for the championships. Who do you guys have as legitimate contenders for championships this year? And I guess I want to start off with the easier of the two conferences, at least in my mind, the East Coast.
It should be in everyone's mind, actually.
No, as crazy as it is, I know a lot has changed from, you know, our preseason picks and selections, everything. But for me, I think it stays the same. It's Boston and Milwaukee. And this is for someone, I think I had Philly in third, but I still didn't feel they were a real threat. I was just always still am a big Joel Embiid fan.
Okay.
And I didn't anticipate Maxey being playing this well either. But that being said, I think it's Boston and Milwaukee. And I'm kind of just going because Dame and Giannis is from Milwaukee. It's not because how they're playing lately, obviously.
Hill?
Who is in the East? Besides the two he just said, who's there?
Right, and that's not to say these other teams aren't good. The Knicks are playing really well. Cleveland is on fire right now.
Right.
But we're saying, you asking me, who do I think will win a championship? It's those two.
Are you guys not concerned about the little, I guess, blip or downslide of the Milwaukee Bucks since Doc Rivers became head coach? I believe they're 2-7 at this point.
I think this is part for the court. This is what they do. I mean, outside of that run Giannis had, he would be one of the more disappointing superstars you ever have seen.
Why would you say that?
Because he drops spans of games and series throughout his career, and bad ones. So the fact that they're losing now doesn't shock me whatsoever. I mean, and that championship gives him so much validity.
Yeah, and
It's way different from Joker's. It really is.
but to be fair to Giannis, the Milwaukee Bucks have been a top 3 seed, I think, at least the last 3 or 4 years.
Knocked out in the first.
You know?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Well, no, I'm just saying as far as, hey, they've been in the top 5 as far as best record in the regular season,
Right.
in the past 4 or 5 years.
And I think what Hill, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what he's saying, it's kind of like we're just talking in a previous segment about football. No one cares. It's kind of like, what did you do? Right? Like we were saying, like Mahomes, you don't really have to have these unbelievable numbers of win totals in a regular season. We just know Pat Mahomes got 3. I don't know, 2 years ago, I don't know how many wins Kansas City had. I don't know. But you know what I mean? But I know they have 3 championships. So I think Giannis is kind of like, no one really cares if you're top 3, top 4, if you lose in the first round.
He's becoming the Peyton Manning of basketball.
I wouldn't say that. To be honest, I look at him the same as Joker. To be honest, as far as they got their chip, and now it's kind of like it's championship or bust for both of them. I feel like from this point forward, and I'm just looking at them as being all-time greats. You know what I mean? So.
Now let me ask you guys this: with Milwaukee and Boston, and I guess with Boston in particular, because I think we can all agree we think that they're the more complete team. Do you think there are any teams that are bad matchups for them in the East, or that if Boston doesn't come totally committed to their, plan of action, could take advantage of it and possibly upset their road to the championship?
The complacent Celtics, Miami. I mean, I still think they should win. I mean, Miami, because they play them well. So they shorten the game, and each possession is important. But Boston has more talent. But they find a way to lose to that team. So, and they play longer series than they have to against Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like, but they're better. So it's just Boston. If Boston clicks, which I hope they do this time, then no, not even Milwaukee. I think I picked the Boston Celtics, right?
I believe so.
They come. I just think they're a more talented team throughout in the East Coast.
What about, I know Embiid is injured right now, but, and we're gonna talk a little bit about the trade deadline deals that were made. But I have to admit, I like what the 76ers did before the trade deadline and getting Buddy Hield and I believe campaign added to that roster. And I think that if they have a healthy Embiid, they have a real chance of upending, those two top seeds in Milwaukee and Boston.
I was counting them with Embiid. I wasn't counting he wasn't healthy. I didn't have them in.
Yeah, like I said, I know you're taking account to the additions, but like I said, I had them as the 3 seed, and I said I don't think they could win the chip.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, the caveat here is Embiid being healthy. I'm not dependent. I'm sorry. I'm a fan of his game. I like Joel Embiid, but I'm not sitting here waiting, depending on him being healthy. Nah, especially in the playoffs. He's not.
What about the New York Knicks? They've made some moves, and are they a team that can possibly make a deep playoff run?
Yeah, I mean, if deep playoff run, you mean second round, possibly a conference final? Yeah, I don't think they're going to change. To be honest, I mean, anyone can. Obviously, you're in the playoffs, but I wouldn't pick them above Milwaukee nor Boston.
Before we get off the Eastern Conference, any trades in the Eastern Conference that caught your eye? Like I said, for me, it was Philadelphia with what they were able to pick up as far as shooters for Embiid. I like some of the moves that the New York Knicks made to strengthen their bench and roster. But are there any other moves out there that you guys saw that caught your eye in the East?
Now, I think the biggest thing in the East right now is health for the Knicks and the Cavs.
Right.
Julius Randle coming back, Mitchell Robinson. I think obviously those are 2 key plays for the Knicks. And for Cleveland, Mobley and Garland. Like you asked me who could upset Boston, Milwaukee. I think Cleveland matches up pretty well because of their height of Mobley and Jared Allen.
Any moves that you were surprised that wasn't made in the East? I know me, for example, I was surprised that Miles Bridges wasn't moved from the Charlotte Hornets. But I know he's one of the few players I believe has a no trade clause in his contract. But I was surprised that he wasn't moved. Also surprised that Miami didn't make any major moves.
Well, they picked up Rozier. I don't think that it was like right before the deadline, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It's better Lowry.
Yeah, that's to me they upgraded.
Who for some reason I guess Philly wants.
Yeah, I don't get that. And I never been, full disclosure, I've never been a big Lowry fan anyways, even in his prime, whatever you think that was. But I think that's just like I don't know, maybe he's a good locker guy.
Which I thought was the case for Milwaukee, and I was wrong about that. I mean, Giannis just doesn't care. I thought Pat Bev would help them out from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, that's what
you know what I mean. And no, I was wrong so far.
I'm concerned about Milwaukee, to be honest. I have serious doubts on how far they can.
I mean, the Middleton play anymore?
Good question.
Again,
He's
that's
hurt a lot this year.
That's
Definitely.
An excellent catch. Yeah, that could be whatever you think about Middleton.
Yeah,
that could be the difference
17 points
between a championship and a nice second. I mean, a deep run and a championship.
All right, fellas. We talked about the East. Let's
Where it
get,
really counts.
Wow,
Where
wow,
it really
West.
counts.
let's go to Murderers Row,
Whew.
the Wild Wild West. Who are your contenders? So,
I might got like six to eight contenders. I know that's like sounds like a cop out, but where's Phoenix? Phoenix is like 6, 7.
5?
And we'll probably get into it, but I do a Dallas won the trade deadline with the dude from Washington and PJ Washington.
okay.
And now they have height now. It's like 6'9", 6'10",
Galford.
respectively. Galford. And then if Lively could get healthy,
Mhm.
I mean, to me, the past 3 years, it's what Dallas needed was height. And they-
PJ Wash
PJ Washington, 6'9".
and getting rid of Grant.
Yeah, and no, I think he's a good player, but he was 6'8", 6'7", if that, right? So I think Dallas did a great job. And I think and so much that now I think they're contenders.
Okay.
You know,
That's one team. You say you had about 6.
easy. Phoenix has Durant and Booker, so I think they're a contender.
I'm not sure if I believe in that yet.
Okay, I mean, of course Denver, obviously. I think that's the most obvious one. OKC in Minnesota.
Okay.
The only reason I wouldn't pick them to get to the finals of championship is just you experience youth. You know what I mean? Like, we grew up watching the Pistons, Lakers. You got to go through that heartbreak first. You usually just don't get through on your first try. So that's the only reason. But talent wise, Minnesota, OKC, I feel like they could compete for a chip this year. So where am I at? So I said,
And will Kawhi play?
oh yeah, Clippers definitely.
Mm.
Clippers are definitely a contender. Lakers. I don't feel as strong.
They have contending
But
material.
LeBron and AD, I can't count them out. I know LeBron, this might be like the slowest fall off ever. You know what I mean? No, because he's still a good player, but it's like but AD's playing well. He's having a good season.
The thing about LeBron is he's a heavy front runner. So if you get him in the playoffs, I think he's such a downhill cheat code. I mean, you just have to beat him, which Denver did. There's a better team, but he lives for these playing games, these one-offs, these tournaments. So he's probably thinking conserve energy. Let's get to the playing games, which I think they would maul Golden State if they had to play.
Oh yeah.
It's just his type of game. I don't think he cares what seed he's in.
Yeah, and I'm speaking of experience. I said the Lakers. I told you guys the Lakers were done last year, and then they beat Memphis in the first round. So this, I'm not. That's the main reason I'm not counting them out. I saw it.
Phil, do you agree with the list that Pete provided as far as who the West contenders are?
Yeah, I mostly have everyone in there except for who are in the playoffs now. The real playoffs, like the top 8, except for. And I just hate doing it, except for the guys down there in the Pelicans.
Okay. Well, actually,
And you didn't mention Sacramento as well.
They have material to do so.
yeah.
A good coach, exceptional point guard, a good big, and pieces around. So they can make noise in the play. Like any team could be upset it, and any team could go straight through.
Yeah, they're like, to me, like the Knicks and the Cavs in the East. I think they could possibly make a run. I don't think they could win a championship. That's the thing. If the Kings somehow make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'd be a little surprised, but not major. Like, that's how good the West is.
Yes, agreed.
I want to agree with most of your list. I know I'm going to be nitpicky with a lot of these teams. Minnesota, I don't think they're mature enough.
Okay.
For the Clippers, I don't think they have enough size. I think if Minnesota were to make a deep run, I could see them, being able to beat the Clippers just because they're bigger. You know, I think the Clippers would have issues with some of the other teams that have size, like Denver, like LA. I think with the additions that Dallas has made, I think they would be a tough matchup for them.
So is it just overall, or because you know Zubac and Plumlee, or is it more like that's just not enough?
Yeah, that's not enough.
Yeah, I don't like that height situation either. You know what I mean? And the way Tyloo's rotation is, he doesn't log enough minutes for Zubac.
Yeah.
I actually like Zubac. I liked him when he was on the
I do.
Lakers for like a hot second.
Strong presence inside,
Yeah.
but
He doesn't get the minutes.
Right.
And the way they play and with the rotation that they have, they're not utilizing their bigs like that. And come playoff time, you're gonna need them against AD.
They're gonna be forced to. Well, Tyler Lue is gonna be forced to play.
that's the part though. But he doesn't have the wheels to play into that, you know, offense which got them at number 3 right now. I mean, they were looking to get out the playoffs when they made the trade. People were skeptical when they almost got up to the number 1 seed by the way they're playing. So sooner or later, they're going to link up with someone in which they're going to need, you know, some big bodies down low, which might not fare well for them, but that's what you're going to have. Hopefully, they're going to have to outscore people, you know.
And for me, I think Phoenix is going to have the same issues as far as length. Their defense concerns me, or their lack of, or the inability to have significant stops. I think it's clear everybody knows that Booker, Durant, Beal, if he ever gets healthy, can get their own shot. And there's not too many teams that can make it hard for them not to get what they want on the offensive side of the ball. But come defense, that's where all the questions start. And I think with Phoenix being in the West, with all these high-powered teams that we're talking about, you have to be able to hang your hat on some type of defense, or have some type of strategy on how you're going to get significant stops or timely stops. And I don't believe that they do have that strategy, even though they have a defensive-minded coach. And that's some of my issues with Milwaukee. You know.
Yeah, I think they know, as we all spoke about all these teams, I think either it's inexperience or they're just not, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like Minnesota and OKC is on one side, and then like the Lakers and the Suns on the other side. You know what I mean? They all have these faults, but you know, and I feel like the only team really that gives me like the both of both worlds is Denver. You know what I mean? Like, yeah.
And I know I've been talking to both of you guys about it, but I really like what they're doing at OKC. And that kid SGA, he's making me a believer. I think they can make a serious run at the championship.
Oh yeah, no. Welcome to the party. I think Hill might have been first in SGA.
Definitely.
And like, yeah, this season, like, I'm on the train already. Like, I think he could, like I said it one on the earlier show, I think he could be one of those ones. Like, I'm not talking top 5, I mean, the guy. Yeah, that's like the team's good. I mean, it sounds great. Really, it's an NBA team, but I like them like top to bottom. I just like the team. Jalen Williams, both of them. Gady, Chad, even their bench was the kid from Kentucky, Wallace,
Case.
Wiggins, bro. And I think they just got Gordon. They traded away and they got Gordon Hayward. I didn't really love that move, honestly. But like, Gordon Hayward was a good player, but I thought they were fine how they are. I don't know. Maybe they thought they needed some veteran leadership for the playoffs.
Well, one of the things I really like about the team is there's such an intelligent team to be so young. I think they have a high basketball IQ type of team, and it spreads across the roster. It's not just isolated to SGA and Chet. To your point, those other young players are making, you know, good decisions. They're playing quality ball.
So, I'm gonna put pressure on you. So,
Okay.
how far do you think they could go? Because it sounds like you got them over Minnesota, basically, because of their poise or
Yeah.
basketball.
Yeah.
So, how far?
I think we could see them in the Western Conference Championship. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw them playing the Boston Celtics in for the championship. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
And I'll shock y'all. I think actually this year Minnesota goes further. And the reasons why we said earlier is that they have two substantial bigs. I mean, they showed up their bigs with Bismarck Biyombo to help Chet. And Chet's small. And Bismarck is actually small too.
Yeah.
That's if they go against a Joker, they're gonna be barbecue chicken. So you need something other lines of a potent scorer outside, a slow-mo to help, a Conley, and then you have Towns, who's having one of the best years of his career, and a Rudy Gobert is actually making you think like, all right, the trade is actually worth something because he's playing good defense this year. I actually think Minnesota is going to shock people this year, the playoffs.
And I think I would be shocked if I saw that. I'm just really down on Minnesota and their bouts of immaturity sometimes. And, and what really threw me off is Cat's 62-point game where they lost that game. And it was a total team effort why they lost that game. They were force feeding Cat, and Cat wasn't veteran enough to say stop forcing it to me and let's play ball and win this. Instead, it was, oh, let me get the ball some more and force it some more so I can chase some points. Yeah. And that's the lack of maturity that I see from him, and that concerns me, especially with Anthony Edwards on the trajectory that he's on. Because I think Anthony is slowly coming into a leadership role with that team and taking over that team like he should. But like I said, you have these bouts of immaturity from Karl Anthony Towns in particular that throws a wrench into the works. And that I key in on that game because it showed me Karl Anthony Towns still has some growing up to do. And Anthony Edwards his voice hasn't grown enough to say, no, we're going to stop that. Yeah. And we're going to win the game.
I wanted both of you to finish your takes, but Hill, that is no surprise that you picked Minnesota. You was on Anthony Edwards, for very early, so it doesn't surprise me. But and I know your take on Minnesota, so that's about right from both.
To me, is putting up and showing. To me, they just have an awful history in the playoffs. That's why I've been scared with them. But for that point, I look at Booker and his 60-point out. He lost both. You know what I'm saying? And that's them feeding him, trying to get to when you're talking about 60 and 70 numbers. I want people to feed him because I want to see history done while I'm here. So I don't mind that punch. But I understand your standpoint in which you're saying, like, let's win it. That game out of one, unless it's something to get them into the playoffs, I won't mind it. And at this point, they've been jostling for 1 and 2, so they're doing something right finally this year. For Anthony Edwards, I mean, I see him coming off of a semi-okay year, which he was still putting up 20 plus. And Pat Beverly saying, you have seen nothing from this kid, because he called it early saying, like, this kid's going to be able to take over the league soon. And then take that next step to FIBA, and then him come now to solidify that player who he was in FIBA. I think something special could be brewing with this team, just from a defensive standpoint, who they are. If they're playing defense, I think the offense will come into their own right. I like the glitz and glamour of OK City. I love how fun they are. Rubber meets the road, it's down low play. And Chet being bullied as opposed to him not having the body weight, you know what I mean? All those things playing a part. We're going to have to see a lot of SGA going nuclear. And is that player, is he capable? Absolutely. Absolutely. If he's going to do one of those, then the league is just at his mercy. Then he's going to take him that far. But I don't think they have enough girth inside, of course, to make those steps. So I'm banking heavy on Minnesota for some, I can't say upsets because what are they, 3?
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel in the first round, good luck trying to find an upset. Even if a lower seed beats a higher seed, that's not in most cases. If the Lakers or the Suns are a lower seeded, they win.
It's them and the Pels. Listen, I expect Minnesota to win that series. If they don't, then yeah, that would just be playing into how bad Minnesota is as the franchise historically. But I have them winning their series from 7-8.
Hmm.
Lakers are 8.
I believe
Well,
I believe right now it's
nine.
Lakers and I believe it's Lakers and Golden State might be 7-8.
Really, Golden State won a few games to come because Golden State at one point was in 10th.
They might be 9-10, I think.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So 7-8.
Sorry, people. The playing game.
So who's 7-8?
Probably
Sacramento.
Dallas and Sacramento.
Yeah.
Sacramento kind of slid a little bit.
But if number one, all right, so if number one would be who? Oklahoma City?
Today, I guess. Them and Minnesota are going back and forth. And I think Denver's right there now.
Right. Denver 2, OKC 1, or Denver 1?
I think Denver's.
I mean, it literally switches like every night. I thought it was. I think Minnesota's still one, right?
Minnesota's 1, Oklahoma City 2,
Mm-hmm.
LA Clippers 3,
Mm.
Denver Nuggets 4, Phoenix Suns 5,
Mm.
New Orleans is 6, Dallas is 7, Sacramento is 8, Los Angeles is 9, and Golden State is 10.
So you're talking about cowbell, ring the bell versus Minnesota. They could win that series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could win that series.
And Dallas versus OKC.
And they could win that series.
Yeah. You really can't. I think we spoke about like the team that you want to see might be like the Pelicans or the Kings.
And believe it or not,
And I don't know if
Yeah,
you
you
really
might-
want to see
yeah,
it.
you might not
Like,
want to see it.
yeah, to me, it's the Pelicans or the Suns.
Suns. Yeah.
The next big after Nurk is Durant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he asked him to do all that scoring. I think you take one of them out the game and they could be a 1 out.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't see an upset.
Yeah.
I just don't see an upset in it doesn't even matter who plays who. I'm not going to be surprised either way. It's that competitive for the West. Maybe Golden State.
Were there any trades in the West that caught your eyes?
Yeah, like I said, it's just Dallas.
For me, it was LA Lakers picking up Spencer Dinwiddie.
That was a trade.
Yeah.
That's all the way.
Yeah, I thought it was a good pickup, but I think they needed they just needed height. I don't feel like that's exactly what they needed. Although I'm a Dinwiddie fan, I think it's a good addition, but I don't know if that moves the needle, so to speak.
Any teams that you thought should have made moves that did?
Absolutely. Warriors. Plain and simple, Warriors. Warriors needed a Bridges. Warriors needed a PJ Washington. Warriors need a big. They don't have a center.
Now, there's rumors out there that they made calls for LeBron. Do you think that would have been a good fit if they had been able to pull that off?
I think so. I think it's something he always wanted to do now, come to find out. I think that would have pushed them from wherever they are, 10th to maybe about 8th.
You're really down on LeBron, huh, man? Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't happen, so I'm not really worried about it, thinking about it like that, but it would have been interesting.
Let me ask you guys this. If I force you today to tell me who's in the championship, who's playing for the chip this year? Who do you got at the midseason?
Celtics Nuggets.
The same thing for you, Phil?
Yeah,
Celtics, Nuggets?
definitely.
I think I have to agree with you guys. As much as I want OKC to be there, I think, yeah.
That's what I was thinking, actually. I'm actually rooting for OKC to make it, but I think Denver's gonna make it.
I think it's might be the year back to back.
Well, that's interesting. That's Celtics. If y'all can't do it now,
Yeah, no, I think they're going, and it'd be like they go, but I just think it's the year back.
Let me ask you guys this, to Peace Point. If the Celtics aren't able to make a significant run, I mean, they're not even able to make it to the championship yet. Does Boston need to take serious consideration in breaking up that duo of Brown and Tatum?
I don't think so. Because I feel like they were going to do it before they went on this run. I think they're both maybe 25, 26 or somewhere in that range. You got maybe like 10 more years of these guys. I just tweak it. It would be disappointing. I would just tweak it.
That'd be a quick tweak. Coach is going. Yeah, that's an immediate tweak. Start there.
Off with his head.
He's out. I mean, depending on their showing in these playoffs, I mean, it's a good chance that he might be going anyway. I mean, I thought the perfect fit for that team anyway was always Ime Udoka with that culture that he built there. And I think he gets the most out of them. I think they tend to let up because of him. They played a decent final. They was just young when they played Golden State. And losing Ime, I think, hurt their team in general. Yeah, he's Taylor Fippin.
Guys, hit us up on social media and let us know what you guys think. Who do you have as your NBA contenders, championship contenders at the midseason season point? Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that notification button so you know when the next video is coming out. Also, you can hit us up directly at weneedafifth@gmail.com. Fellas, what's on the radar?
We cut it short, so I want to give that man his flowers, unfortunately, and that's the radar is just seeing that Patty Mahomes is just an all-time great right now. You know, I mean, I don't know how much praise I can actually add to it. I mean, the fact that my team lost to him, it was hard the way they played and how they lost it, but who they lost it to, I had no problem with. I mean, you like to see people lose to greatness. Just want to be around and then just want him to be healthy enough, you know, to surpass Brady.
And you brought something back to my mind. I want to send condolences from the show to the fans of the Kansas City Chiefs. There was a young lady that lost her life after the parade due to gun violence. 19 people, additional people were injured in that. Several of them were children. So just want to send our condolences, our prayers, our well wishes to the Kansas City fans. Know that, hey, you have our prayers with you. Pete, what's on your radar?
It's February. Yeah, March is soon coming, and March Madness, but not the usual March Madness that I was looking for. I'm talking about on the women's side.
Talk about it, Pete. Put it on the record.
Just looking at teams like South Carolina, LSU, Connecticut, Iowa, USC, Stanford. I've never had this much interest in this many teams in the women's game college basketball. Ever. It's always
Speak on it, Pete. Speak on it.
It's always been Tennessee or Connecticut. Dare I say, I'm looking forward to the women's tournament more than the men's tournament. I didn't think I would ever say that in my life.
See, I'm working on them, guys. I'm working on them, guys.
I'll wait.
He's coming soon. We're gonna get him soon.
I'm watching my pick right now for the chip right now as we speak.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm on. So women's college basketball NCAA tournament is on my radar.
On my radar, Doom Part 2 is coming out soon, so I'm there for that. I'm super there for that March 1st. That's going to be an early birthday gift to me. Thank you. Also, March Madness to Peace Point. Can't wait. Women's college basketball got a lot of exciting players for us to follow. Caitlin Clark just broke the scoring record, NCAA Division I scoring record. She's on track to try to break the scoring record for men's and women's. I believe she's about 300 points away from Pete Maravich, all-time scoring record for both men and women's Division I college basketball. So good luck to her on that. Yeah, and House of the Ninja, Netflix.
Definitely there for that.
I'm there for that. So that's come out. That's what I want to check out this weekend along with the NBA All-Star game. Are we checking for the All-Star game?
We in there.
Not really. I've lost interest. I just lost interest in the All-Star game.
But you got to admit that NBA All-Star game is the best All-Star game held in American professional
Definitely,
sports.
not close.
Healthiest person in the hospital.
Any of y'all checking Beyonce country album?
Not bad.
Well, okay. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, wherever you listen to your podcast. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the YouTube video. Hit that notification button and hit us up on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And you can hit us up directly at weneedafifth@gmail.com.
To the Beehive. Hill's number is 91.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.